I have a little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today, I'm pretty excited. We have a NONvoy Defense in here, SenRaven. He just raided the stream, in fact. So I'm hoping he's still in here watching. Yeah, he is. And so we're going to go over his defense. We grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. Now, before I jump into this, I do want to mention, some people are hesitant to send in their defenses because they think, oh, my defense isn't good enough. You know, I don't have a good enough defense. I don't want to show it off. The thing is that you got to understand, and I'm pretty sure the Sen understands this. You take the absolute crap out of the back end of your roster that's left over from your offensive war attacks. And your offensive war attacks are built from your raid teams, you know, and your arena teams. And so this is the bottom of the barrel, and you're just trying to put a shine on it, is what it is. So everybody's defense is usually pretty crap, unless you're AFK, that's away from controls. You're going to be away for a war, and you just told your alliance, hey, I can't be there to attack, so I'm stocking up my defense or something like that. Otherwise, your defense is going to be pretty garbage. And so what we do here at Defense Up is we take a look at these defenses, and we try to figure out how we can make them, let's get that camera, that microphone out of the way, my goodness. We try to figure out how to make them the best that we can with the worst that we have, utilizing the least amount of resources to invest in them. You know, what's a worthwhile resource to invest? So if you're interested in having your defense shown here, featured on Defense Up, please, links in the description, contact me on my Discord, send me the pictures, we'll get you featured here, and we can help you to get a win. A lot of times it's just a placement tweak or something like that. Like I can tell right here, we're gonna need a placement tweak. And it could make the difference between a defensive victory or not, which could make the difference between an alliance win or not. You never know when it's that hair's breadth. So let's take a look at SenRaven's defense and see what we've got going on here. I need to lower the sound of the music in my ear canal because it's a little bit much for me. Oh, there we go. Okay, much better. All right, so right here we got a fantastic 4. We've got She-Hulk, which I like She-Hulk in the center because when negative effects get splashed onto members adjacent to her, it adds the charges to her faster, speeds her up faster, makes her do, you know, throw all those negative effects back at the other team. So I like her in the center. It just creates more opportunities for, like especially with like Black Order when Thanos is stabbing into people with all those bleeds and stuff on that splash damage. It gets knocked all around. This team actually does pretty well against Black Order. Mine gets DVs against Black Order all the time, but I have a much bigger She-Hulk on mine. Although I think my total power level is about the same. So you have a huge investment in Invisible Woman, and that's okay. You're an older player. You are using her for that content. That happens. If you're a newer player, you do not need to build up Invisible Woman this much. You just make her even with the rest of the team. She doesn't have a lot of value in other areas of the game. So let's put She-Hulk in the center. She-Hulk can be a healer, a fortifier, or a skirmisher, are all good choices. She doesn't have a lot of synergy with any of those. I was checking my defense, and it turns out I'm running her as a fortifier right now. Whatever. She just doesn't have that much synergy, so it doesn't really matter. But War Ready really helps. This is a war defense team, so making her War Ready would help. Skirmisher on Mr. Fantastic. I like Skirmisher on Invisible Woman. SenRaven has her built up as a healer because of the other content that he was using her for. Probably not worth it to change it. But if you're building this team from scratch, I think it's best to have those two as skirmishers and these two up here as strikers. So pretty good on the ISOs. Making him war ready would be beneficial. I think putting a little bit more love into your She-Hulk would be very painful but effective. Yeah, I think that's okay. The biggest thing that Sen can do to improve this team is just that placement tweak would probably be the best thing. It's really hard to invest ISOs in these war defense teams, especially taking almost an entire team from 1 to 4. I mean, that's expensive, right? That's expensive and it's hard to do. But I think at this level and where Sen is operating, it might actually be worth it. If he could spare those ISOs, I think it would be worth it to get this team war ready. Those buffs are pretty big these days. So I'm going to give him a B for this team. It's not crazy. I just like to see him war ready with a placement tweak. Team number 2, here's an Emmarauders build. This is a really standard build. We see this a lot. We got Minerva in here, and in place of Sabretooth. This looks pretty good. I would like to see a placement swap between Minerva and Emma. Emma's going to be able to withstand the splash damage coming off of Strife, any splash damage that happens. Not that there's much. The things that beat this don't really do splash damage like that. It's either AoE or single target attack. So it's not a huge deal there, but you know, splitting hairs again. Tons of healers, and you've got Mystique as a raider. I like Mystique as a skirmisher. I think you may have overinvested in her. I think for newer players, Mystique to gear tier 12 and then stop there. She becomes invisible and she has lots of evades. It's not worth putting those points in her. Probably the best thing you could do is maybe make her a skirmisher level 5 for that focus boost so that she's doing the things she needs to do with those positive effects, giving them over to Sinister and him spreading them to the rest of the team. Raider is an interesting pick. She does bounce around a lot, so as a secondary, that's probably pretty good. You're going to be hearing me talk a lot about the discussions going on with Raider being a more powerful ISO than we originally thought. So it's gaining some steam in the community. Your Strife, yeah, that's whatever. I think you could put a little bit more power into Strife, and I would like to see him as a fortifier. Microphone's still too high. I would like to see him as a fortifier. He has barrier built into his kit. He uses it very effectively. I have the toughest time going into strifes on other teams that have level 5 or higher fortifier. I don't recommend going into the blue ISO on strife. He's not good enough for that. In fact, just war ready with the barrier really is all you need to do on that fortifier one. Otherwise, the rest of this is great. You've got solid power investment into a lot of these tunes. Newer players probably don't need to be bringing Emma and Sinister this high anymore. I think that they're over the hill. We still use Emma in the arena a lot, but that she doesn't need, I mean, she just needs to spawn in the arena is really all it's for. So otherwise, pretty good pick. I'm gonna go A- on this. Just a few little tweaks that we could do, but it doesn't matter. I don't think those tweaks are gonna save you much as far as getting some more defensive victories. Okay, team number 3. This is a hodgepodge of stuff right here. This is a hodgepodge of stuff. The reason that I give Asgardians an automatic F is because of Hela. They lose all the time now. There are too many counters. It's a waste of a good team where you could be using Hela and Loki and Thor on other builds to great effect. So putting Hela in on this team kind of makes it an automatic F. Also, you're using characters from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different teams. Now, I know what's going on here. You don't have Shadowlands built. You don't have Skilletary built. You don't have your Hydra defense going anywhere. You don't have your Mercs built, right? So you're just throwing in stuff to make a big number. I think we can do better, though. I think what we can do is get Hela off of this team, build a small Merc team, and maybe spread it out. Even if your Mercs suck, who cares? Or you could do something like... let's see. Let's take out Hela. Put in a minion for Red Skull to give him some of that damage reduction, and then we could maybe replace. Oh, we could replace one of these with like a Killmonger or something if you happen to have Killmonger beefed up. Killmonger's got some value for different game modes, for different unlocks or different things like that. I think all in all, I think you could lower this number with a different team and draw in a similar offensive team to attack into it. Because, right, like a 500 symbiotes is going to just absolutely destroy this team, totally waste it. Whereas you could build a smaller team saving Hela for supernatural offense or something, or saving Red Skull for some sort of a niche Hydra offense if you wanted to. You could go after that Skilletary or that Shadowlands team. Those are luxury picks and things are expensive today, so I understand. But I think that you have a lot of options for other things that you could do and still get the same value out of a smaller team. So I think we should pick somebody different, at least get Hela out of here because she's just 100% liability. You got it. I mean, 7 red stars, 204,000. You could definitely find a place for her somewhere, right? There's got to be like an offensive team. I don't know. Would she work well on a New Warriors with Loki or something? I don't know. But we could find something better to do with Hela other than just making her that crack in the armor for symbiotes to come in and annihilate this team. So for me, this is an automatic F. I see a lot of things being wasted here. I do like the ISO Raider on her, Raider on him, Striker on him, Fortifier on him, Skirmisher. So the ISOs are great, although they're not war ready. But why would you make this team war ready? It's going to die no matter what. Okay. Team number 4 is a Wave 1 Avengers. This is a really well-built Wave 1 Avengers. I was actually looking at the kits this morning for these two. You know, we like to go Striker Skirmisher on one of them and the opposite on the other. Doesn't really matter. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that she definitely should be the Skirmisher because she gets called for assists on 2 different teams and you want her placing those vulnerables. And I think he might be a candidate for a Raider at this point, especially if you don't have the T4s in their, I believe it's their passives that make them assist all the time. So if you're not putting in T4s in their assists, making them assist all the time, I think having him as a Raider might be the best choice with this Raider conversation about increasing the power levels. He has a little bit of extra crit in his kit, so you could get that extra mileage out of him rather than going for the triple hit combo when they call assists. Okay. The best thing you can do, though, without spending any resources is a placement swap. You want to go Hulk, Captain America, then Black Widow, then Thor, and then Hawkeye is going to be your best placement. You have all your tanks on one side with Black Widow going invisible, dividing the team in half, and then all your other members that you're trying to protect over on the other side is the best way to do it. Those chain attacks would ricochet back and forth off of Hulk and Captain America, and you get a little value out of that. Alternatively, you could go Hulk, Captain America, Thor, then Black Widow, and then Hawkeye. But this is a great build. I'm going to give you an A- for it. It's just a placement tweak is all you should really do. Your power levels are kind of wonky, but this team is old. It's not really worth investing in. It's not really worth making them war ready or anything like that. I kind of like what you got going on here. Team number 5 is Heroes for Hire. I think the best thing you can do with this team is move it to the back of your roster, make them work for it. These are the teams that we're trying to assign attackers into in war when we get pretty serious. You don't want to make it easy for them to figure out who should go in early. So hide this to the back of your roster, at least team 8 or further back. Okay, we got Striker, Raider, Skirmisher, Healer, Fortifier. I like I like Iron Fist as a Skirmisher, not a healer. Right now, most of the time, we're having the Weapon X team or the Infinity Watch team come in, and they're applying heal block, or they're dying and reviving a lot. And so the rejuves don't pop off much. He's not getting a lot of value out of his heal, out of the heal in his kit or anything. So making him a Skirmisher, putting the extra vulnerable on the field is really important. I think you get more damage out of this team by having that vulnerable on the field for other people to attack into. However, at your level, don't change it. It's pretty minuscule. That's just for people who are building up this team from scratch. I think they should go Skirmisher rather than healer. I love Fortifier on Luke Cage because he is dying and reviving, and you get a lot of benefit out of the Fortifier ability, the barrier that comes in on him. All these ISOs are great. Your placement's great. Everything's fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and give you an A for the team because this is a pretty minuscule change, and you should not spend the resources to change it where you're at. Okay, here we got a Hero Brawler build. This is a junk filler team. I think you should take a look at your Web Warriors. If you're building those, then you should consider replacing some of these members like these two right here. With OG Spider-Man and even Gwen Stacy as a Raider. Yeah, she won't get that Skirmisher triple hit bonus with Miss Marvel, but it makes it much more effective. The bonuses that she's doing, those ability blocks and things like that, the evasions and all that stuff. OG Spider-Man is going to be a great fit on this team, can really bring up the value. Making them war ready wouldn't be a terrible thing to do. This is a low value team. We're looking at some TV shows coming out with Miss Marvel soon, so maybe she'll get a rework. That would be nice. I can't recommend people invest in her right now until we know for sure if she's going to get a rework or not. She is really old, but she is the linchpin of the Hero Brawler team. For those who don't know, you have to make her a Skirmisher, everyone else a Striker. In here, we have Squirrel Girl as a healer. That's because Squirrel Girl has a lot of healing in her kit. She uses it to good effect, so that's a good choice on Squirrel Girl. One of her attacks is not an attack, it's just a heal, so you don't get as much of that triple hit combo thing, kind of like with the Mercs triple hit combo setup. Yeah, all in all, you're doing fine here. I just like to see you use some different people. Miles is starting to look like maybe the worst member of the Web Warriors, but that's a hot debate. That's still in big flux. But I would like to see you change these two out with OG Spider-Man and Gwen Ghost Spider while we wait to see that Web Warrior build come in. And then, of course, once the Web Warriors are built entirely, you'll probably be using them as an offensive war team. But for the time being, let's see if we can't swap those out depending on where those characters are. Gonna give you an A- for that just because we could do something better, but you're not doing anything wrong here with this build. This is a traditional Hero Brawler build, a good filler team. Team number 7. Okay, this is a team I kind of run, except I use Minerva in place of Red Guardian. This is kind of that Tech Nerva team, but we got Red Guardian in place of Minerva, obviously. I think I'm running him as a healer on some build. I don't even know what he should be. He doesn't have a lot of synergy with mini ISO, so healer's fine. Vision should be a level 5 skirmisher. Don't do that. Don't anybody do that. He needs to be a level 5 skirmisher for him to function right, but he is a bottom 10 toon. He's really terrible. He's so OG that he needs a rework really bad. When they did that Wanda rework a while back, they didn't give him enough love. his focus is really bad. He doesn't land his ability block enough. That's why I always say you make him a level 5 skirmisher so that that ability block will stick and you can get some real value out of him. I think you over-invested in him as is, but it is what it is. You could make him like a level 1 skirmisher. Oh, there goes my war attack. War's starting, 15 minutes. Yeah, you should make him just like a level 1 raider or something, just so he, I don't know, throws out a vulnerable once in a while, probably the thing to do. The Trash Panda here, he is native to the Raider ISO, so that's a good pick for him as a solo character. But when you're running this 3-piece, what you actually want to do is make Star-Lord and Rocket strikers and Groot a skirmisher. And what happens is half the time they're calling in Groot as an additional character. He places the vulnerable, and then you get a quadruple hit combo off of the team. And if you're lucky, they choose the right person and just one-shot somebody off the field. It's really cool when that happens. I just went through and boosted my ISOs to make most of my version of this war ready, but this is a filler junk team, so it's hard for me to say invest in them like that and put the ISOs in. You know, that's just kind of a luxury fill for you. You might just tap on that one extra one to make Rocket Raccoon war ready since he's got 7 red stars. That's about it. Otherwise, this is okay. I think you should switch. I think you should at least switch the ISOs to level 1 ISO. So Skirmisher on Groot, Striker over here. Then you're getting those combos. It's not going to be that big of a waste. And then get like a level 1 Raider on Vision. It's a good filler team. You've got a big number in here, so they're going to have to come into it with like one of their low-level synergy old teams to try and deal with it. Yeah, so let's get an ISO fix on that. I'm going to give you a B for the team because you got so many different ISOs that need to be reworked. Okay, here is another one of my automatic F teams. It's the OG, it's the Sinister Six with Doc Ock. The reason I give this an automatic F is because like the Asgardians, this team is really easily beaten, and you're giving them these easy targets to gain speed with an Axeman or a Symbiotes that'll gain speed and then roll over Doc Ock. Yes, this still catches some of the noobs off guard, but you're not going up against noobs anymore. Your Doc Ock isn't going to fool anybody. They're going to look at him. I mean, that bright shiny gold color compared to all this purple, they're going to know, hey, we got to get something going for that Doc Ock. It's not about these other members. And if I saw this, I'd go, oh, look, I can smash Mysterio, then smash Mysterio's clones, then go after the summon from Doc Ock, and then just smash through all these. I'll have so much turn meter that my 300k symbiotes is gonna still be able to beat Doc Ock just on the speed that they gain from the rest of this alone. So I give automatic Fs to this team for that reason. Also, you have no ISOs in here. There's really no excuse for not having an ISO level 1 on somebody. Every little bit helps to get in some of those vulnerables, those combos, those things like that. So we could do that. But take Doc Ock off of this team, throw in, I don't know, Shocker or Vulture or whoever of your OG members you have to just make a filler scrub team, and then use Doc Ock on a hybrid someplace else. You have a massive investment in him, you know, you should get some value out of that. So that's an F there. Let's see, if you were gonna run the OG Sinister Six, I recommend Striker on Mysterio because he clears on his basics. Get some skirmishers on the team someplace, doesn't really matter. The ISOs, again, it's like skirmisher, striker, raider, anything really works on this team. I like Rhino as a raider because he's bouncing around a little bit. I like her as a raider or a skirmisher, and I like him as a raider or a skirmisher. And then, you know, Shocker would be a skirmisher, and then, let's see, Vulture would be a raider if you go with one of those guys. Of course, you can use, who am I forgetting? Green Goblin, he's a skirmisher. I like him as a skirmisher because that defense down that he places on every turn, that's kind of fun. And then I just like having the skirmisher out there because Mysterio calls the assist and then can come back and clear some positive effects. This is a trash team, right? The OG Sinister Six is not worth building up. It's not worth investing in. It's not worth even making war ready. It's just something to fill a slot so you save space for your offensive teams so you can keep offensive teams out there. One thing you can do if you like this team, they're a good offensive team. You can build this team up and use them on offense. You can beat Black Order with it. You can put Doc Ock on your symbiotes team and punch way up on Black Order. Like, there's some neat things that you can do. So you can use the whole team on offense. I just like using OG on defense and then Doc Ock on a hybrid defense or a hybrid offense. Team number 9, here's a Brotherhood with Shuri. This is kind of interesting. A lot of times we see like Doom in here or something. A lot of people are taking Doom off of defense these days because everybody has an X Factor team, and X Factor beats all those Doom teams. It's not a big deal. So you put Shuri in here, and I like that. I think it's a good fit in here. It helps give them that sustainability in the beginning. This team basically has to blow up their opponent fast, and then they win. There's little chance that you're going to blow this team up because of its speed and the taunts and stuff like that. Shuri, however, is making sure that doesn't happen by giving them defense up on spawn, right? You've got some deflects going here. I think we could do better on the placement, right? I think you could swap places with Magneto and Shuri. Shuri's not going to be a primary target, so I'd like to see deflects going to Magneto and Juggernaut, making it tougher for you to get through your tank and tougher for you to beat Magneto. And then let's raise Toad to a level 5 skirmisher, which would help him to clear positive effects, bring that focus level up. Pretty expensive thing to do. We are seeing some interesting hybrids with the Doom Brotherhood team. So if you want to invest in this team, there are opportunities to use them creatively. So it's not a terrible waste to go level 5 skirmisher on Toad. We definitely want to change Blob to a skirmisher though. He retaliates when attacked every time and places a vulnerable. 100% he needs to be a skirmisher. You don't have to go level 5 skirmisher on him. You just want him to be placing the vulnerable there. And then I like Juggernaut as a raider rather than a striker. I don't think you're getting much value there. Magneto is a raider, and of course, Shuri is a healer. So let's change placement. Let's fix those ISOs. You could invest in this team. It's a 7 red star blob. I mean, he can be used on hybrids and stuff too. He's a fun character if you want to experiment. But you know, that's really up to you. I'm gonna give you a C for this team because there's a lot of potential here and it's kind of being missed. Especially with that ISO change and this ISO change and the placement. Yeah, I think we really need to do some tweaks there. Okay, and finally, team number 10, which is your supernatural team. This team doesn't do so well on defense. Everybody knows you just kill Doctor Strange, the team folds. I'd like to see you put Hela in here and use this team on offense. I mean, if you're getting your 10, 12, 14 offensive wins, then okay, that's fine. But I think this is where Hela belongs, and I think this team belongs on offense. Okay, let's look at these ISOs. Raider on Mordo is okay. I prefer Skirmisher to make sure that his stun sticks, right? I like to take him to gear tier 14, level 5, Skirmisher ISO, because I use this team on offense. I use it all the time. It isn't going to beat anything good on offense, but I use it every single war. I wish I had it twice. I just use it a lot. It's very effective at the stuff that I'm going into in my war. But level 5 Skirmisher, gear tier level 14 works great. Again, this is an old team, and that's tough for people to chew off, so user beware. Healer on her, whatever. I kind of like Raider, I guess. She has a high damage stat, but doesn't actually put out that much damage. Trying to get her to crit might be a better way to go. Healing on this team isn't really necessary. It's more about Doctor Strange reviving. Striker is perfect, Raider is perfect, and then Fortifier on Doctor Strange is perfect. Placement on this team doesn't matter so much. I think you just keep Doctor Strange to the outside. Yeah, so I think we could try some different ISOs. I don't think on defense this team is worth making war ready. I don't think you should spend on it. But if you're gonna swap in Hela for Elsa Bloodstone, like you should, and use this team on offense, then I think you should make them war ready. And I think this power level is gonna allow you to take down a lot of those wave 1s. I think it's gonna allow you to take down a lot of those Doc Ock Sinister Six teams. I think it's gonna allow you to do a bunch of different things. It's kind of a flexible, old meta killer kind of team. It's just great for cleaning up stuff and getting things done. This might be where your heroes for hire should go, but you're not doing anything too bad. Again, I think this is a filler team, and it's just I'd like to see it on offense. So I'm gonna give you a B- for this team. It should be used to greater effect. I'm curious, Sen, what your offensive teams look like. I wonder how many attacks you're getting in war. I never get to tune into your streams long enough to see all of your attacks, of course, because we only get like 6 or 7 up front, and then we gotta wait for our points to come through. But I'm curious how that plays out for you and what you're using on offense. If you want to check out SenRaven, he streams on Twitch every morning, usually just about the same time I am, except he works harder than I do. So go check him out on Twitch. He's very entertaining to watch. He has this really cool spread on his screen where you can see where he's attacking and the attack happening at the same time. It's a really interesting layout that he does. He's a pretty tech savvy guy, and there's a lot of fun people in his chat to watch. So be sure to check him out. And if you want your defense featured on Defense Up, links in the description. Find me down below. All the usual plugs. remember, guys, don't just have a good game. Be good to yourselves and others too, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.